Hello everybody, what is up? Cobra here. I just decided to do a gameplay session for you guys. This is a little game I'm going to have of Conquest of the Empire, just a little late night kind of thing. So as you can see, I've just got it set up for two players, a two-player scenario here. And though usually you would want to spread out the players a little bit more, you know, like if you have the Roman player, or I think the official two-player setup would be one in Egyptus and a player in Hispania. But in this case, I wanted to do like a little historically inspired Carthaginian First Punic War. So we've got basically all the same rules as Conquest of the Empire, just player 1 starting in Italia and player 2 starting in Numidia or Carthage. Now, just a really quick thing for how this game works, for those of you who don't know. Basically, we'll just take Rome as an example here. Each player starts with, they get a capital city, a Caesar, which is basically their leader, 4 generals, and 5 infantry, and then their 1 starting territory. You can see right there in red is the money amount, or the talent amount. That's the type of money in this game. And so yeah, basically same thing over here for Carthage. And how the game works is it's just kind of like a game of domination where each player is just trying to spread out their influence as much as possible, get a bunch of money, spend it, you know, more war material, and then they can go off and conquer each other. Basically, the end game, the end goal, is to hunt down your enemy team, or yeah, basically your enemy Caesar figure, which for one isn't, like, I don't think it's the best victory condition, just because of the fact that, you know, like, say Rome could have a massive empire, and if they kill his leader, then, you know, that's the game over. But that's what we're going to be playing with this time. Makes it quick, simple, and we're going to see how this game comes out. So yeah, like I said, here we have the starting setup, and then just here with the money, this is a 10 talent coin. I spray painted mine up so they look a little nicer, but yeah, and those are just the 2 banks. But I will get back to you at the end of turn 1. Alright everybody, it is now the end of round 2. I just decided to play out another round just because not much had happened. But you can see that some general lines are starting to be drawn out now, with the Carthaginians moving across the North African frontier, and the Romans trying to move across Europe. Now they have a lot of territories to expand out into. The only problem is that they'll start getting spread thin, especially with more money on the board, you know, with the Carthaginians being able to have a fleet now. Basically, as the Romans, I had, you know, thought, you know, I'll move into Hispania and I can try to cut them off later, but that would leave, like, this entire territory open and my capital kind of out there. So yeah, basically decided to consolidate, got a fleet just to kind of either project power or defend the coastline, and then bought a cavalry up there just to kind of, you know, have a fast moving unit to move around. As the Carthaginians, we have a navy that got built, and now, you know, I've slowly been painting up these units, so you can see a very cool looking ship. You know, we'll get those in a video sometime soon. But yeah, the Carthaginians are a little bit weaker in this position because of the fact that they don't have a ton of money down here, as the Romans can expand, but at the same time they have to consolidate so that they don't, you know, overextend themselves. But at the same time, the Carthaginians just don't have a ton of money. Like right now they're at 40, whereas the Romans are at 60. So yeah, there is a little bit of cost disparity between the two, but we'll have to see, because Carthage could start exploiting some of the Roman holdings. So yeah. Another thing to note about the rules too that I didn't explain before is that, like, a reason that you may see, like, you know, I don't have just infantry all over the place, is because that basically you've got these 2 guys here. These are your infantry units, but this guy here is a commander or a general, and each player starts with 4 of those, and your armies cannot move anywhere without a commander. So basically you can see that wherever we have any sort of combat unit, we've got a commander to lead them. over here we have leaders, all like Caesar figures, also act as commanders. So yeah, basically any army is accompanied by a commander that will lead them basically. So yeah, but that is all for now, and we will get into the next turn. Let's see if there's going to be any sort of combat between the two. Alright, so at the end of round 3 now, a kind of decent battle happened where the Roman fleet picked up a big army from Rome over there, basically brought them down and fought the Carthaginian fleet, but lost, losing their army. So that kind of put them at a big standstill where, you know, now they've really just decided to build a bunch of infantry and consolidate their holds where they are right now. The Carthaginians are just kind of bulking up their main foothold over here. Now there is no real point to protect like a fortified city. It does give you money and it's a good defendable position, but it's but it doesn't really represent your capital, although this is just remembered that this is the capital territory though because of the red. So basically you won't be able to build units without that capital, so that's why we've got a decent little army built up there. Of course the Romans don't have a fleet right now to challenge, but they do have a lot of money so that they could definitely spend some to start building a fleet next turn. Now the Carthaginians have finally made it over here to Egyptus, making another 10 talents, and they did place a navy into the waters there, so that's a big threat to the Romans, not only because they don't have a lot of forces in the area, but also the fact that there is a lot of money that can be taken with that army. So the Romans are going to definitely be fighting a military equal sooner or later. Now another thing to note is that in this game there is economic inflation. So you can see here that this is the talent tracker, and once somebody hits the silver area here, all the prices of everything double. And another thing is once a player hits the gold over here, all the units triple in cost. So one thing that I'm definitely trying to do is keep the inflation down. So like as the Romans, I don't really want to go over 100 because then that kind of puts my spending advantage down because I've now inflated the economy and can buy less units. Of course, it makes the Carthaginian players suffer, but at the same time, it kind of takes away my advantage. Although if they start getting up there, then it's time to inflate the costs and make them struggle too. So yeah, that is the end of round 3, and we will see what happens next turn.
Action! Ignite! 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 Action! Roll! Roll!
Alright, now some cracks are starting to form in the Roman lines as the Carthaginians sent a couple of fleets up to Greece and took out the Romans. Now you can see that the Romans had spent some money getting a roadway built and a fortified city going in Greece to try to help defend it and make some more money, but the Carthaginians took advantage of their weaker numbers. You can see the Roman army retreated after losing like half their forces, and hopefully with this roadway we'll be able to get some of their forces down quickly to help contain that threat of the Carthaginians. And the Carthaginians have definitely gone up in terms of they are now beating the Romans out in terms of monetary value. And looking at this fleet and that army and the Roman Caesar right there compared to the Carthaginian Caesar, the Roman Caesar is definitely in a lot more trouble than the Carthaginians, so we will have to see what else happens. The Romans did invest in a fleet, and you can see over there a catapult, which is a pretty powerful weapon, so we'll see how that helps them out in the future. And yeah, Carthaginians built a pretty major army here, so they're probably just waiting to maybe load that up on a ship and send it over to Italy. So we'll have to see what happens next turn. Alright, and now we've had a pretty major turn of events. The Roman army has used their road network to lead a pretty big army down to Greece along with their catapult division and blow up the major Carthaginian expeditionary force. They weren't able to retreat back into their ships, so basically their navy's left sitting in the water as their army got blew up on land. Now, up here, the Romans consolidated and built a lot more units and invested some in a fleet to try to combat the superior Carthaginian navy, which is spread across the board. The Carthaginians, of course, still have their major army set up. And yeah, they've kind of pulled back from some of their possessions because the Romans are definitely a threat. Now that, you know, their little glimmer of hope in taking a city and everything is now dashed, and the Romans are back ahead of the Carthaginians. So, and also with the expeditionary force gone, though the Romans don't have any ships to bring their units over to Anatolia right now, they definitely now, the Carthaginian commander is pretty much just kind of sitting around there with nothing much to do. You know, he can get on a ship and be transported back to Africa, which would probably be one of the best options. At the same time, he could just sit there and hope that no Roman fleet ends up coming after him. So yeah. It was a pretty big turn for the Romans because since they had captured Greece down here from the Carthaginians, they were able to capture 2 of the Carthaginian generals. And so what happened was that you can either kill a general, which takes them out of play forever and they can't be rebuilt, or you can ransom him off. So basically keep him with your side until the other player decides to pay for him to bring him back. So with that, since the Carthaginians wanted to have a general on the board, they decided to pay the ransom, which was all of their bank. So the Romans were able to build a bunch of stuff this turn. You can see that they now have a new fortified city with a roadway going back to Rome. They have a nice new fleet after their last one was taken out by the Carthaginian navy. And yeah, so with the roadways, they're definitely going to be able to defend their territory a lot better. So if, say, the Carthaginians attacked one of these, the Romans could send an army down the road to attack them. The Romans sent a cavalry and their leader over here probably to start cleaning up some of the little Anatolian provinces that Carthage captured that they now will have a tough time supporting. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the next round. Alright, now things are getting pretty desperate between the two powers. You can see that a lot of stuff has gotten built this turn. The Carthaginians and the Romans have really stacked up their capitals, and major navies are in the water, so we'll have to see if there's going to be a confrontation next turn. Over here, the Romans have kind of pulled back most of their forces just because of the fact that now that they have roads, the fact that if the Carthaginians took Hispania, and yes, they would get that city at the end of the turn, the Romans could easily just use this road to come in and destroy the Carthaginians. They do still have a little force here in Greece, mainly because the Carthaginians do have a minor army that they've been building up over here, and it does have the leader, so this kind of represents a pretty important thing. So yeah, we will have to see what happens next turn.
For Rome! Battle speed! Battle speed! Punch it down! Ramming speed! Ramming speed! Lights in! Brace for impact!
Alright everybody, and I think we're going to call this short game. And basically, we had a pretty major final battle of the game with, as you could see last turn, with those two major fleets. The Roman navy was whittled down, but their troop transports survived, and they dropped off a legion over here. Now, at the same time, this legion isn't, almighty and powerful. The Carthaginian army could definitely defeat them. The only problem is that then the Carthaginians would have to move out of their capital, possibly lose a few units, and that navy can go up and then down again, picking up another legion and bringing it to Numidia, taking the Carthaginian capital. At that point, the Carthaginians have been struggling economically, but not being able to build anything is not going to help them in the long run. Another fact is that their little minor incursion over here was getting a little too hot, and the Romans ended up stacking up a lot of, with their riches, they were able to buy some cavalry and stack that border up. And the fact that the Carthaginians, their general over here is actually a Caesar. So the fact that this army could definitely come in, probably wipe that army out. If not, and this Carthaginian army retreated, the Romans could definitely just start chasing them down the coastline back to Africa. And again, Rome is pretty powerful up here. Now, I would have to say, I know that I played this a little differently than usual. It would be definitely a little bit more balanced if, you get a capital in Hispania and a capital in Egyptus. The normal two-player game puts them really far apart. This game, I definitely have to say it was fun. Like, I liked the dynamic of just being like across the coast from each other, so there's a lot of naval buildup to defend your coast and attack the other ones. And I would definitely say that this could be played with a bit more balance if the Romans have their capital down here in southern Italy, because at that point, one, it kind of aligns to where Rome is. I know that this northern province kind of cuts down to where Rome would be, but place the capital here if you want to play this little Carthaginian Punic War type deal. And then what happens is that on the first turn, the Romans have to push and take Italia. So basically, the first turn the Romans would be limited to just taking that one territory, whereas the Carthaginians would be able to spread out on their first turn. And then of course the Romans afterwards could start spreading into Europe to collect some more money. But yeah, like the biggest thing is the fact that first turn the Romans were just able to spread out across, send their different armies in every direction because there was no threat of attack, and make a bunch of money off of it. So that would be my one little consideration for playing out this little type of deal. Another thing was that, I definitely have to say it was a pretty fun game. I did simplify the combat just because I don't have the battle board with me for this game. So, and I know it's different than Axis and Allies. You can see just right here, it's a little bit different where you have destroyed on a 6 or higher. Because in this game, it's something along the lines of having to roll and then basically adding up the score and being able to knock off enemy units. I just played kind of like a normal Axis and Allies style where, I roll, and if they got a hit, it gets taken on the enemy. So yeah. But I do like the commander type deal. I think it's really fun, the fact that you have to have that commander to basically move around your armies effectively, because it forces you, unlike Axis and Allies where you could just have you know, a couple infantry and all these different territories to guard it, you have to prioritize, you know, the fact that, you know, this army down here is just a legion and that is it. You're not going to be able to just leave some guys behind to defend. And then it also prompts you to build stuff like roads. The fact that these guys are actually quite powerful even with these unoccupied cities because of the fact that this legion has the ability to just walk down these roads to anywhere along the coast that has been taken. So, yeah. One thing is that it definitely sometimes gets a little bit iffy when it comes down to, like, you know, you start to lose generals. And I definitely think if you had a lot more players, it'd be a bit more fun because there'd be less kind of targeting, you know, between just two players, basically, where you're trying to just target their Caesar or their general. But, yeah. And I'll probably be thinking about something like that in my own game. As many of you know, I'm designing that Ancient Empires, like, pretty advanced, kind of large map game. And that will probably have something along the lines of with legions. I'm thinking, because I don't like being completely limited by the fact that, you know, you have to have a general. You know, you would think about, say you had like a small army of like 1,000 men. You could probably, you know, with the officers and stuff that they had with them, you know, send them over here to collect taxes for a province. You know, you didn't have to have a 5-star general leading them around the area. So maybe something around the lines of, you know, you can only have a general if you want to attack. That'd be kind of cool because then you could leave little garrisons behind. And, you know, he's not going to be able to move and spread out. But he does, he will help you, like, defend a province, which would be a pretty good idea. So yeah, definitely a lot that I like about this game, and I really want to play this game with like the full 5 or 6 players, because that would definitely be just really fun and chaotic, where you've got everybody just attacking each other all the time, just trying to kill each other's generals and ransoming them off, and also with monetary concerns being a little more tight. You know, this game, once we get to this phase here, both powers are making, you know, upwards of $90 or 90 talents a turn. Nobody got into the inflation stage. I made pretty good sure that no one would, because I just didn't want to deal with having more expensive costs. But yeah, so it was definitely a pretty fun game, and I really like the little different mechanics that you see in this game. Like, that's one thing I learned from designing my 1914 game, and also thinking about other games to design, is that I think it's good to change up the rules in terms of, you know, like an Axis and Allies style game, because without it, then you're just kind of putting down a different map and different unit molds that have similar stats as other ones. Like, you know, if this had been normal Axis and Allies, you would think like maybe an artillery would basically just roll like a tank and it could just go around. And yeah, so I definitely like the little changes to the rules here and there. It helps you to kind of get into the, oh yeah, like I like this game because it has, you know, cities and infrastructure, or I like Global War because it's got some little it's got the 3-way kind of player dynamic. So yeah, definitely like this game, and if you guys see this for sale, I definitely suggest picking it up. This is the original in 1984. I'm not sure the specific date. I know that the newer one is a lot nicer in terms of it's a way bigger map, and comes with a lot more pieces. At the same time, though, for some reason, you know, it's newer, but it's really like rare and expensive to what I've seen. So I was able to pick this up for a pretty decent cost. And as you may know from my original video where I got this, I did paint up the units, and I am expecting to get some 172 like infantry, cavalry, and even some elephants. So I can't wait to get those things. Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys again. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment down below if you enjoyed this or want to see other content related to this, and subscribe if you're new. Cobra, out.